Today we're just on the third day of Christmas, and we still have 9 days on the journey until we get to Epiphany and can gather together again for a celebration on that day. But today we are in this season of Christmas, and as I've noticed in the past, oftentimes the Christmas specials end on TV. But I noticed one thing as I was watching the Christmas specials this year that I mentioned in my children's sermon, and it's that in a lot of these specials, they don't seem to know what Christmas is about. In the Shrek Christmas special, the ogre, Shrek, was trying to figure out what Christmas was. He's like, I don't know what Christmas is. And they kept giving him answers that didn't mean anything. And they got to one point, Shrek said to Donkey, but everybody was upset and yelling and crying. And Donkey said, well, my mom says that if nobody cries, it's not Christmas. That's not what Christmas is all about. What's really funny to me, too, is watching the Flintstones Christmas special and the thing coming up saying Christmas BC. How can you have Christmas without Christ? The best answer came from the Charlie Brown Christmas special, of course. We're back in the 60s. Charlie Brown was trying to figure out what this Christmas was all about. Was it just about commercialism? Was it just about presents? And Linus responded. He said, and there were shepherds watching their sheep by night. And lo, an angel of the Lord appeared to them and said, do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. For unto you is born today in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. That's what Christmas is all about. And so we continue today hearing what this message is. In Galatians chapter 4, Paul says, well, when the time had fully come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under law. God works through history, and God works through time. When the time had fully come, this reminds me of the idea of getting something hooked up, getting something put together. I was reading about someone who put together their entertainment system, got all the wires hooked up, took all the time to put that all together, and then when they pushed the power button, nothing happened. So they called in a friend to look at it and looked all over it. Still couldn't figure out. It's like everything was connected correctly. And then someone said, hey, shouldn't this be plugged into the wall? At the time, it wasn't quite ready. It wasn't quite ready. And sometimes we try to get ahead of God. Sometimes we try to hurry things up. Whether it's anxiety over not being married, or anxiety over trying to get a building project done. Let's push it through no matter what. Whether it's anxiety about getting a paper done or paying some bills, whatever it is. God has a set time and a set way for things to work. The Roman world was the perfect time for Jesus Christ to be born. The perfect time. Because the people of Israel were settled right in with all the surrounding countries with nothing to bar the message of Jesus Christ making it to the whole world. There was a common language shared by virtually the whole world at that time. The message could be received through these open roads where there was no concern about getting from place to place. It was the perfect time. Same language and easy mobility. The message had no better time possible to be spread throughout the world. Now, some may say, well, wouldn't today have been an even better time for Jesus to have come? We've got cars, and we've got the internet, and we've got all these wonderful things. Would this have been a better time? But as being a fan of science fiction and the virtual physics that applied to that, there is something called the butterfly effect. That if you change one thing in history, there's a butterfly effect that will change the whole world. In the case of Jesus, he's a very big butterfly. See, if it wasn't for the Christian faith and the idea that there is a created order, that it wasn't just an idea of listening to the whims of certain gods who are angry at one another, the whole idea of the science that we have today may have never occurred. Because there's an ordered God, the people knew that they were able to study and see how God made the created order. They were able to understand. Now, some of those scientists have fallen off a little bit trying to explain how would it work without a God. Because it all started with the idea that there is a God who created the universe, and there is a set order. And so they're able to learn how God made the world, how things work.